you are on the phone, you will want to press *6 to mute yourself, please. And there we go. Excellent. Thank you all for hanging in there. I really appreciate it. This is Lindsay Wilson, and you are here for How to Sell in the New Economy. It is such my pleasure to be with you today. I actually am a little under the weather, so if I sound a little nasally, you'll know why. But this is information that I have never taught and could not be more excited to bring to you all tonight. And I'll even be honest, because transparency is actually the first thing you can jot down on your piece of paper about how to sell these days. For me, for various reasons, even though I've sold stuff for 20 years and sold $25 million worth of stuff, I had just thought, oh, I'll just keep that a little hidden. We won't really talk about that. Just because it was an option that was easier than owning my power. And so it's really liberating to be talking about this tonight, and it's also the stuff that I know best, so it's wonderful for all of us. And that actually is a little bit of a parable for a lot of what we're going to go through this evening. So I'm going to jump right in. If you feel like throwing up when you hear the word sales, you're in the right place. If when you think about selling, you think about used car salespeople and people who post links on other people's Facebook walls and just not wanting to feel salesy, you're totally in the right place. And if you're someone who is completely in your purpose, has amazing products or packages, and for one reason or another just cannot make the money that you know that is ready to come to you, you are oh so in the right place. And this class tonight will be really content rich. We will be going over a lot of really specific things that you all can do to increase your sales, and I will be teaching about another opportunity that you'll have to work with me as well, because I can't pack it all into 1 hour. So let's get going. So if you don't know me, just a few things that I'll let you know. I am the behind-the-scenes coach for many entrepreneurs that you're probably familiar with. A lot of my clients are in the 7-figure range and doing really well. And it's been a difficult time for all of us in terms of transition, I think. The things that used to work, long sales letters, e-zines every week, live events even, and a number of other things that folks have used are simply not working in this new economy. I don't know how else to phrase it. But what I will tell you is what actually is really advantageous is this: that your clients and your customers now are more looking for intimacy, for connection. The know, like, and trust factor that you'll hear people in sales say is even more important than it's been before. And when we live in an age of social media where you get to see everyone's dirty laundry, or you get to see the fact that they're not hanging any dirty laundry out, which might make you a bit suspicious, it becomes easier and easier, quite frankly, to really be in integrity and to sell. So I'm here actually with great news tonight, that there are a lot of people out there who are making more money than they ever had been before, and here to share with you some of those tools and tips and the way of thinking that leads up to being able to sell. And I think what's gonna happen, if I'm not mistaken tonight, is that many of you are going to feel a real sense of relief when you walk away. I'm really committed to that happening, because I understand, I keep using the dental analogy. I went for dental work earlier this week, and I say, I would never do dental work on myself, and oh my goodness, I would almost rather not have anyone do dental work on me, quite frankly. But the truth is that sales is a skill that can be learned. The idea of a natural-born salesperson, absolutely, there are people who are charismatic, who are outgoing, all of those sorts of things. But even in this day and age, I would say that some of those natural abilities aren't actually what folks are looking for. If you study the generations of what works in sales, if you take a look at history and literature, if you take a look at many of the really brilliant minds that are out there that are really talking about what's working right now, and if you take a look at the companies that are selling, you will see that there is, for instance, if you look at anything that Apple does, if you look at the iPhone, all of those sorts of things, they never are like, oh, here, buy this phone because it has this widget and this gadget and it will do this and it'll do that. That's not what they do. What they do is they show someone getting pregnant, and it's a video screen streaming to the person they're in love with. They show people looking at pictures of their grandchildren. What they're selling is the connection. What they're selling is what actually we're purchasing it for. I mean, I assume there probably are some people who are purchasing the 4G iPhone because you can add an external mic, but you're not going to see an ad about that. And that's because that type of selling is out the door. So if you've never caught on to sales, if it's never felt right to you, or if you took classes and learned outdated models where people manipulate people and say things like, if your grandmother were dying, wouldn't you come up with the money? Those sorts of things. The good news is it is a level playing field. You get to really run with your heart. You get to really be in integrity. And I'm going to teach you some skills for how to apply those things. Because it's the same thing, like if you set me loose with a dental drill, I'm going to be a disaster. I will say I have a sister who has been a dental assistant. And what she said to me to soothe me before my recent dental work was, all you do is go in there, drill some stuff out, and it's not actually that hard. It's not that difficult. And so by the end of this, hopefully, you will feel like, wow, selling is actually easy. No one had ever shown me before. I'd never held the drill in my hands, and I should probably give you some sort of better connotation. Let's put a magic wand in all of your hands. So I've given you all a magic wand, and by the end of this hour, my complete and deepest desire is that you will know exactly what to do with that magic wand. So first what we need to do is lay some groundwork so that you have an understanding of some things. So if you want to grab pen and paper, feel free to do that, because some of these things I think are going to be really important and things you'll want to remember. Sort of like going to a science class in high school or those sorts of things. And if you look back over your notes, I'm sure that it will be helpful. So the new way of selling is really based on relationships. In the past, what folks would do is come up with this brilliant launch strategy. You all have heard about launch strategy, and create these wonderful ideas of slogans and programs and, cool logos and all sorts of things that they would release out, to everyone, and people would buy it, and it could be based on the fact that they were doing, like the Ginsu knives get 58 bonuses with it. It could be based on, cool slogans where every letter in the word begins with the letter P, or different things like that. And that's not actually what we're looking for. In a day and age when there is a conservative sense towards spending, I'm going to tell you the number one big secret. And if you've heard this, hear it again. It just simply is the truth. And if you get nothing else out of tonight, this is the thing to take home. That what people are really looking for is connection. Yes, they may be looking for a set of knives, but if I try to sell the knives to them, and if someone else tries to sell the knives to them, and I really connect with them, and the other person doesn't, my chances are much, 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 much higher of selling to them. And the other thing that folks are looking for in this economy is actually purchasing what they actually need. So in the past, say I was an online entrepreneur, and I'll be using a variety of examples. Feel free to throw, if you want me to use an example of you. If you're not in the chat and you're on Ustream, just one thing to mention. If you go to the upper right-hand corner, you can log in and you can be involved in the chat. And I would recommend it because I think it's a great idea to get connected with other folks. So if I were an online marketer and I were trying to sell something, what I could do in the past is go, oh my gosh, I have this great new technology and it's going to do this total revolution for the way that people get opt-ins on their websites. I'm going to create that, and I'm going to give it some flashy graphics. I'm going to send it out there, and people are just going to buy it because I don't really need to know exactly what they need, but I'm close enough to guessing what they need that it'll stick. And people used to buy that. You didn't really actually have to meet people's needs. You just had to sort of come close to it. Or very often you just sort of had to play on their psychographics. You had to play a little bit on their fear, a little bit on their desire. Say, if you buy this great new online thing, it'll make you king of the world. Well, everyone who's got a psychological want to be king of the world goes, oh, I want that. But when we're conservative about cash, what we do is we go, I want to be king of the world, but that little trick doesn't actually give me, the kingdom. So maybe I'm not going to buy that. So the first piece, which is actually really good news for most of us, is that what you want to do is really be in relationship with the people who need you. Now, this requires a few different things, and I'll give you a little homework. If you didn't listen to my class last week on purpose, you're going to want to email events@socialmediaheaven.com, and I can send you the replay on that. Because one piece of this is that you really do need to be firmly rooted in your purpose. And I will say that the people that I know are thriving at this point have gotten really clear about what it is they're here to offer. When you are really clear in that, it just makes you unshakable, first of all. So it's like if you come out with something and you think that you listen to your target market and you think that they needed something specific, and then you find, wow, you needed to tweak it a little bit. The deal is that you are so firmly rooted and planted in what you're here to do that it actually doesn't hurt your ego that much to go, okay, so I'll tweak it. I'll change it. That's fine. And a lot of flexibility and a little bit of ego is going a long way right now for people who are making sales. Look at the Gap. I don't even know what the logo is that came out that was wrong earlier this week, but it went so disastrously that they've changed it back. And I kept thinking, oh my goodness, whoever the person is who said, this is our new logo, this is going to change the world for the Gap, they must just be like in so much pain. It must be, I mean, I don't know because I haven't fully watched it, but people spoke. Here we are back with what people had wanted and expected from the Gap. Their idea of creating something in a little dark room that would catch on fire, it just doesn't work. So, connecting with people that are absolutely wanting and needing what your purpose is the first piece of agenda. And some of these things I will mention that I just can't completely cover in the class. So I will give you access to resources to find out more about those things. But that is the groundwork. Because if you're not connected with the people who really need you, it invariably is just incredibly difficult to sell. You really want to be doing your business based on what people need. And the brilliant piece for most of us is this. We're good people. We actually want to contribute to the world. We're not just here to take. And if you're not lined up with specifically what it is that people are wanting from you, the great thing is that they'll tell you and you can get lined up with it. I see people that are growing in ways that they would have never grown before. It's that same thing, and correct me in the chat if I'm wrong, but I think that the Chinese symbol for crisis and opportunity is the exact same character. And that's what we're facing here. So get connected with the people who actually need you once you are firmly grounded in your purpose. And then start asking them what they need. It's such an easy, like almost unbelievably simple way to approach business, and it could not work better. A couple of reasons why. If you are engaged with the folks who need you, and you're asking them to collaborate, you're asking for their input, they start to take ownership of what you're delivering. So if you've said, I arrange these travel tours to Africa, and I'm wondering, is Africa really where you wanted to go, or would you like to maybe go to Northern Africa and a little bit of, Italy or something like that? People, if they get to raise their hand and say, well, actually, I really always wanted to go to Italy, that is the purchase already starting. A purchase with a credit card at the end is not, the credit card is not actually when the sale is made. The decision is what you're looking for. And in order to get people to decide to work with you, to purchase from you, etc., what you need to do is involve them in that process. It has to be collaborative. I do a lot of social media, and I talk about, it's like when the little dog lays down on his back and shows his belly. Like, I'm not going to fight. I'm just here to play. I'm showing you my vulnerability. You can even attack me, but it's a wonderful way for a little dog to show that it's completely open, and how vulnerable and sweet, and just the way nature works, the big dog doesn't attack the little dog when it rolls on its back. In that same way, you need to be out there with your clients saying, I really value you. You're really important to me. And I will say that for people who are blocked in selling, and this is really the really brilliant news, Most of the time, it's simply because we don't know how. We haven't been taught. Most of the time, if you struggle with sales, it's because you're probably someone who gives a lot and doesn't receive very well. I'm just going to repeat that because this is sort of the underpinnings of what is really going on. I can tell you, like, how to write a short sales letter. I can tell you what to put in the titles of your emails. I can tell you exactly how to write sales copy, and we'll be talking about some of those things tonight. But what we really need to get to, because when we really look at, okay, so something is broken. If we have a car that breaks down on the side of the road, we don't just go and start to change the tires. We go, is it the tires? And if it's the tires, then we go, yeah, let's change the tires. But we don't start fixing things until we know what's wrong. So I just want you to feel into your belly, sort of breathe into it for a moment. But when you think about receiving and how comfortable that is for you, do you feel a little blocked? My guess is that there is a bit of a block there. And that's one of the things that we really want to shift here. Because besides the fact that money will come in when you unblock that, what really needs to happen and what this evening and why you're here and your need really for me as a coach lets me know, and I identify, I let me just say, I was the worst salesperson I knew. I started in sales when I finished acting school at NYU and didn't know what to do with an acting degree to make money. And I would sell cosmetics at Macy's Herald Square in New York. And I would say to people, don't buy this moisturizer. It's not very good. Or people would want to come and spend a lot of money, and I'd get highly uncomfortable. They would go to the person beside me who was on commission, and they'd buy all of it from them. They would come back to me because I had been so sweet, and they'd say hi, and then they'd continue to buy from the other person who, in those small cosmetic counters with our high heels on, would like basically step on your toe to climb over you to get the sale. And I learned, fortunately, someone recruited me and taught me really how to sell. So when I say these things, I don't say it from a place of like, I know and you don't know. Selling still can be difficult for me if I don't really understand the fact that it's very much like a seesaw. And what needs to happen here in life in general is I need to be as comfortable receiving as I am giving. And what I will tell you is that when you get those things in balance, it's not actually just your sales that are going to change. I had a client this week who I coach her on how to bring in more money. That's what she's focused on. And she had a huge amount of bills that were owed to her that she'd never dealt with. And so we created a system so that she could implement something so she never had to really think about it again, so that those bills would get paid. And what happened is a huge amount of money as she started to work on this started to come in. And it felt for her life-changing. And in a way, it really is, because when we are out of balance with these things, it doesn't just get reflected in how much money our business makes. It gets reflected in our relationships with our kids. It gets reflected in a way where we walk around and feel like we don't have a backbone. It gets reflected in our self-esteem because we feel like we get run over. It gets reflected in terms of just our mental state on a daily basis because we feel like, oh my goodness, here I am going to give more to my business, and it's not giving things back. And so the deal is, this is really a wake-up call for you and a huge opportunity. We're not just talking about like exactly what are the tricks that might work, but I would say for a portion of you all, and not for everyone, but for some, sales have never worked. Sales have always been gross. Sales have always felt bad. And the good news is that that can stop here. So let me take the little flashlight we've been shining in that area and pick it up, and we'll move back to some tools. But I do want to let you know that really gifting yourself to learn how to sell is really gifting yourself I think about I'll leave grandchildren behind, I hope, and what will my legacy be? And to be able to have a legacy where we're able to really stand tall and proud and know that we've met our purpose and we've gotten it out there to the people who've actually needed it, not slimed it all over a group of people who would pay us. How good does that feel at the end of the day? The money that comes in from sales is simply a symptom of what's going on. It's that same thing, like, so I have a stuffy nose today. It could be a variety of things. If we really want to figure out how to treat it, we need to go do, does Lindsay have a cold? Does she have the flu? Is it allergies? What's going on? You don't just, it's the same thing with a car. You don't just start giving me allergy medication, because that wouldn't make sense at all. And so it's the same thing here. If money is not coming in, it's because something's blocked. And it could be simple education. It could be other things. But I just want to mention that, because what I do find, and I will be totally transparent here, is that as I have looked at what I do for people, what I started hearing is that people didn't have basic sales information. And so when I started chatting with them and saying, you know, so what are the things you're wanting? What are you needing? What's not working? People really started to talk about the fact that when they can't sell, their whole life feels bad. So if I am the holder of this information, don't I have a responsibility to give it to you all? It's the same thing with your company. If you're blocked in sales, there are a slew of people out there who need you. And with social media and the internet, I mean, give me an hour and I can sell a slew of stuff for any of you all. It is so simple to find your target market and get this done. It's simply a lack of education that prevents it. So let's keep going with the education. So the next piece that I would say in terms of tools that work, and also if you're on the phone, if you press *6 to mute, that would be great. Just we're getting a little bit of feedback and I want to make sure everybody can hear really well. That would be great. So once you have, and I'm going to go over these steps again, gotten in your purpose, because it doesn't work if you don't do that. Once you have then gotten in touch with the people who actually really need you, not the people that you think need you, by the way. Not the people that you hope need you, by the way. I see loads of people who spend all day looking at the people that they know need their services, and that doesn't mean it's the same psychographics of who actually purchases. What you really need to see is, who are the people who are buying from me? What's similar? How do I find more of them? So once you've contacted and connected with those people, then you need to open up the conversation of, okay, I'm here to serve you. How can I help? And here's what's key in sales, and I think that this is so cool. So there's an old school way of sales that's about, I get you on the phone and I go, hi, you really need me. You don't think you need me? You stink. You really do need me. Let me poke some holes in why you don't think you need me, and let me make you get out your credit card and spend a lot of money that you don't necessarily have with me. And it's just not about being connected at all. I actually refer to it very often as shame-based selling, and you'll see it all the time. You know, like, it's just a way, especially with hugely priced products and packages, you'll see people do that all the time. It's that, you know, everybody race to the back of the room. If you really believe in your business, you'll spend $100,000 on this. And that's not, well, there's just a very different way to sell from that perspective. So let's say we're not going to go from that place, because that doesn't feel good. And I don't think you would be listening to this recording if that's who you were. So let's talk about what does work. So once you've gotten in touch with people and once you've started to have a conversation, it's not as simple as a question in an email or a survey monkey that you send out that says, what should I do with my life? But those are some beginning great tools. You can do surveymonkey.com. There are a multitude of other softwares that will also allow you to really start to poll people and find out what's needed. What this will require from you, though, also, which is the challenge and the opportunity, is a fair amount of vulnerability and visibility. But I think that those are things that we all have innately in spades anyway. So if you blindly send out SurveyMonkey to a slew of people that don't know you, you can expect back no responses. If you post on your Facebook page, what services or products do you want from me, but you're not genuinely connected with people, you're probably also going to find silence. So what this really requires is getting on the phone, having coffee, grabbing a mastermind partner who can at least start to begin to give you some feedback on it. But what we're really good at, and why this is such a wonderful time for sales, is most of us who are pretty darn good at giving, or who are blocked in the sales area, actually are wonderful at relationships. If somebody needs a casserole, if somebody needs a shoulder to cry on, if somebody's sister is having a hard time, we're the first people who are there. It's the same thing. And so you want to engage with folks to the place where you're getting interaction. It's not okay to say, okay, so I threw the question up on Facebook, nobody responded, I'm done. That's just another form of not selling and hiding, and it doesn't work that way. I mean, the deal is, if this is going to be a challenge for you, it's not like all of a sudden I decide I want to lose 20 pounds and tomorrow it's gone. I have to sweat. There's going to be a little sweat here. And the great thing that I love about this is, as you break through and are able to start selling, it will not only transform all sorts of areas in your life, but you really reap the rewards that you're wanting. The self-esteem that is built by being able to do this is astounding, and your ability to go out and do even bigger and bolder things is amazing. So just know that exactly where you are with this process is wonderful, and if you take a step 1 inch further than where you are, it's like a little egg that's going to start cracking and opening, and sunlight's going to come shooting out of it. It gets so much better. So I hear you, and I hear you going, okay, I tried that and it didn't work, so I'm done. I can't sell. Not the truth. Once you are in touch with folks and you have figured out what they're wanting from you, there are a variety of ways that we figure out how you package it, what wording you use, how you price it, and all sorts of things like that. And what I'm going to do is talk to you a little bit more about those specifics, and we're going to talk about sales language. We're going to get down to brass tacks. We'll go from the more ethereal kind of stuff to the, like, here's exactly how you do some stuff. But I want to take a quick halftime break first. So, speaking of selling, I really have heard from you all that you don't know how to sell, that there is not a way to learn that feels really good, that feels like transformation, that really yields results, that's not another plan that you learn and doesn't stick and feels awful and is another program you buy and there's no change. And so because of that, I mean, how exciting. I'm simply practicing what I'm preaching. I'm going to start a sales class. It's a 6-week class. The prices start at $149 for the first payment. It is the nicest price I have ever done on anything like this before, and I couldn't be more delighted. I really, someone said to me, it's so interesting. It's like you put yourself out there and you do a class on purpose, and then I got a wonderful, Shelley Horton, if you're on here today, I'm just going to say thank you. She wrote this wonderful email to me, and she said, it sounds to me like really what your purpose is to help people have businesses that are alive and thriving. And I have to tell you, I'm really committed to it. There are plenty of coaches that I have that I help with this day in, day out. And I just see people consistently getting blocked and having difficulties because they don't have this basic education. I also don't see anywhere where people are able to get it. So even against recommendations of other folks who are those big ticket sales people who've said, no, you should charge $5,000 for a day. And you can have me for $5,000 a day if you want to as well. But for a starting price of $333, I will teach you all of these things. And the benefit of working with me, I have to say, which I really have heard from the people who work with me, and feel free if you're on the chat to say, I work with Lindsay, this is true or this is not true. The benefit is that my heart and soul is invested in you doing well. I will do anything that it is possible to do for your business to thrive. I will not stop or get dissuaded or take a no for an answer. I would say that I tend to be very loving and warm, and I also really will push you to the place where your business can thrive. So I think it's always that conundrum of, okay, but that money, I don't have that money right now, or I don't want to spend that money right now. And here's the thing, that I don't know how you're going to learn how to sell if you don't get educated on it. It just doesn't happen. You don't sit around and hope to learn how to sell and it changes one day. It really is one of those things where, you can hire a graphic designer, you can hire a web designer, but truthfully, the deal is, I'm going to do a bonus. For the first 30 people who sign up, you get a 30-minute consultation with me. And I swear to goodness, ooh, and somebody is so coughing. If you could please press *6. I thought I had muted the line. But what I would say is those first 30 people, thank you. that sign up, I will give a 30-minute consultation to, and we will figure out how you can manifest the money for this class. In that amount of time, I can sell that much stuff for any of you. I am so confident, it's not even funny. In that amount of time, I can sell even more than that for you all. So let's get on this. Let's do this. I am not a hard salesperson, but I see people, if you look at the amount of money that folks are making and the amount of businesses that are closing, it's not okay. And there's a different way, and it is so learnable, and I am here to teach you. And so I welcome you with open arms to the class. I don't know how often I'll offer it, but it is unconscionable to me that there are so many people that are failing because they don't have basic sales tools. So I am here to change that and really committed to doing that with you. And I'm just going to give you a quick rundown, and if Zach, my lovely assistant, will throw the link up in the chat, and I'll also mention the link for those of you who aren't live with us or listening on the phone. You can go to socialmediaheaven.com. That's www.socialmediaheaven.com. and click on the tab in the upper right hand corner that says How to Sell. And the 333 is brief. The class will go up to $495 shortly. Certainly when we hit the 30 people it will. So it will break down like this. We will talk about sales strategy. You will get one. Without one, you are not, your business just, even if you can do a quick launch that can make a lot of money without a long-term sales strategy, your business isn't going to be here long-term. And we don't want that for you. We don't want you to be one of the people who goes away during this economy. We will also get you connected with your target market. There is such a simple, easy formula for how to get this done, and I know that it feels like brain surgery to many of you. So I'll be disclosing exactly how we find the sweet spot of who will purchase from you. We will figure out what products and packages you need to sell. Like we've been talking about before, I see very often that people will be in their purpose, they'll have a great business plan, and they will price something wrong and they'll go right out of business. Or they'll package something wrong. Their marketing words won't be appropriate and they'll go right out of business. The reason that you're not selling is not because there's anything wrong with you. The reason that you're not selling is because there's just something that needs to be tweaked in a different way. It's the difference between me doing my dental work and my dentist doing it. Still, I actually trust him a lot more. And then we'll move into the really juicy part that I really sense that most of you all are wanting, which is the sales conversation. I will give you exactly how you begin one, because I think very often most of us don't get into sales conversations. And I will give you the exact words and how you absolutely walk through from the beginning to the closing of a sale. Once you learn this, these are skills like being on a bike, you do not forget. They're easily learnable, and you deserve to know how to have a sales conversation. If you don't, you should take the class just for that alone. It is too painful. It's almost, I'm just going to be honest for a moment. To have a business and to not know how to sell, you're going to sink. So let me save you. It is just not going to work if you don't know how to sell. After the sales conversation, we'll go more into sales language. You write your tweets, you write your website copy, you write your sales pages, you interact with clients, you send notes out. If you don't know the psychology behind how to do that, it just is never going to work. And actually, unfortunately, can occur like the people who come up to you like, have you ever been at a party where someone has just been so abrasive, or someone who's tried to ask you out on a date, or someone who's just not had social etiquette that's been very charming? Poorly written sales language occurs like that for clients, and you can drive away. I mean, you can create an amazing list of folks, and you can send out emails with such bad subject lines that are just so, and I don't mean bad, and I actually mean they're just alienating. So there is a way to handle all of those things that we will cover in the class. And finally, sales structures. A lot of people can get you to sell a program for today. But the thing is, you want to be around years from now, and you want your sales to be escalating. And so there are a number of structures that need to be put in place. From, do you do an entry-level priced item? Do you do a high-priced item? Do you do a continuity program? Do you do packages? How do you handle the holidays that are coming up? How do you get husbands to buy for their wives when you don't know the husbands? A multitude of structures that you want to have in place so it's like clockwork. So instead of sitting down at the beginning of each week, you go, oh my gosh, I need to make this much money, and just trying to piecemeal it together. Actually having a business plan, a sales structure for how that gets done. And it's, it's as simple as, it's so funny because in a way, it never occurred to me to teach these things because my assumption was that everyone knew it. And then isn't it amazing how we don't know what we know in some ways? And then all of a sudden I was like, wait a second, maybe being, a development manager for sales on Madison Avenue and managing a $6 million sales force, maybe that taught me certain things that folks aren't understanding in their business. So I honestly would say that, for sales, all you need is you, someone else, and their money. You don't need so many of the things that we think we have to buy. I have so many clients who will sell without web pages for stuff, will sell tens of thousands of dollars without a landing page for something. It is old and antiquated to think that you need to send out e-zines every week, that you need big, long, huge sales letters, that you have to have 28 bonuses added on to things. It's not true. It's absolutely not true. And I would even say that, quite frankly, if you can find someone who's interested in your products who lives on the same block as you, like get off of Facebook and go sell to them. There are a multitude of ways that sales can be done. So it is not about like holding up the golden tools and being like, yay, these are the things that work. Those things absolutely work. And I, have 250,000 people that I'm connecting people with in social media for clients. So I will sing social media's praises for days. But this is about getting you income. This is about getting you out of struggle. And even if you're doing well, but just haven't been doing well in this past bit of time, this is about getting you some new tools. This is about teaching you what is the topic that's on emails that gets people to open them. What is the way to not have the 8-foot-long e-zine so that people purchase. And I would really challenge you after you get off the show tonight, I would really challenge you, take a look at what's not working. Because most of us have bought into the idea that these 89 things are things we're supposed to do. But if your beautiful new logo actually has not created any sales for you, I want you to put it in that list. Because the first step to making things work, and the first step to bringing in more sales, honestly, is just taking a look at all the things that don't work, and then to stop doing them. There is a new way to do things, and I'm going to get back to it and talk to you about it a bit more. But I welcome you all with open arms. I cannot wait to begin the class. The class starts on November 1st. It's on Mondays from 5 to 6. It'll be 6 weeks. And those first 30 people, we are going to rock your sales instantaneously. So I think for that price, I really feel an integrity. I really feel like I'm doing what I'm here to do, and I really cannot wait to help you. So get on it. Okay, so tips and tools for specific things. Here's some things, and I'm just going to throw out some of my best tips in no specific linear order, because I think what you really want, if I had come and spent an hour of valuable time listening, I would want some serious things that I could walk away with. So we're going to start with sales languaging, which, it's this funny thing where I go, probably one of the most powerful things I know is how to write in a way that sells. And then I go, do I want to give that away on a free class? And then I go, you know what? Abso-freaking-lutely. So here's some key things to know about sales languaging. When you are writing, what you always need to do is put yourself in the shoes of the person who would purchase from you. They are not interested, as we said about, even though this is not an iPhone, it's a BlackBerry, the 89 buttons on it and what you can do with a who's and a what's and syncing. That's not why they're buying it. They're buying it because they can talk to their grandchild. They're buying it because it keeps them connected with people. They're buying it because they can check Facebook every moment. It's all about connection. A phone is a tool for connection. So you'll hear people talk about benefits and features. We're not even going to go into the gross old school sales language. But what you really want to do when you are writing copy on your website, when you are writing social media posts, when you are writing shorter sales pages, what you really want to think about is, who is the person that needs you? What is their pain? Acknowledge their pain. At the beginning of this call, I said, if you are someone who feels like you're going to throw up when you hear the word sales, you're in the right place. That's an example of that. It's really letting people know that you're understanding where they're coming from. Most often, the people that we serve are who we were a couple of generations before, using electronic speak. So very often that pain is pretty fresh in our minds. You're a nutritionist and you used to have horrible nutrition. It's not hard for you to think of what specifically it was that it felt like. You want to bond. First and most important thing. Then in your languaging, it is not about the 99 widgets that they get with things. It's about the sense of ease they're going to feel around sales. It's about the sense of ease they're going to feel when they go out to dinner with their husband. It's about the sense of ease that they will have with their baby when they have this new stroller that works. That's why people purchase. People want love. Sometimes it's a warm hug, sometimes it's a swift kick in the pants. You have to figure out what your demographics or your psychographics of your people are so that your language fits that. And I can't wait for the class because there are a multitude of things. There are some great new trainings that I've gotten that are really quite brilliant, that I will sing the praises of in our class, because you really get to see that, in fact, not only is it about attracting any client, it's about attracting your ideal client. So, if you're someone who, you love kings of the world, you love working with those people, then all of your copy needs to be about how somebody can master things, about how they'll be the best, about how they will have a competitive edge, about how they will soar above the clouds. I mean, that's a little bit gross, but that's what they want to hear. And they don't want to hear about you. They are not concerned about you. No one is spending money right now about you. They're spending money about them. So in your languaging, and in the class we'll break it down so that you can see specifically how this gets done. In your languaging, it needs to be about the end result that you are delivering to people. So we can take you with your company as it is right now, make basic tweaks to your landing page on your website, totally change the amount of sales that are coming in simply because you've learned the language. It truly is like you've gone to a foreign country and you don't know how to speak. And then someone gives you a little English to whatever language dictionary, or someone gives you the magic wand and they go ding and you can speak the language. It will tremendously change the way that you are seeing sales come in. Let's pick some other juicy things. Sales conversations, because I know that would be the piece that I would be like, she better tell me how to close some sales. So let's think about this for a moment. First off, it's never about forcing. Second off, it's never about being invisible. Third off, you're going to need the skills where you're on the phone with people, where you're online with people, where you are confident, where you can ask. So for instance, if sales is just, if you're like, my company's great, I really do know what I'm doing, I listen to my clients and I just freeze up when it gets to the point of asking for money. I want you to experiment 5 times in the next 2 days asking for things. Another great way to do it, and this may sound crazy as all get out, and that's fine with me. Take your hands, consistently open them during the day. The feeling that you will feel is probably like you're falling off a cliff, or a little nauseous, or like you're spinning in circles. Just keep doing it during the day. You'll probably notice that your hands are tight a lot. Just keep opening your hands. What we've got to start to do is get you receiving. And there are phenomenal little transformational exercises that, you can book private time with me and I can get you right through your sales blocks. But what you need to do, and start practicing in small ways, is receiving. Because that will make it much easier when you are at the end of the sales call, when you've told someone about all of the lovely ways they're going to feel like $1 million after purchasing from you, that you can say to them, so let's make this happen. Called the assumed sale. It's so funny. It's like I have so much sales training in me. We can go on and on for days. But here's the thing. It's not your logo. If you're choking up on the sales conversation, it's not that your Facebook posts stink. If you're choking up on the sales conversation, it's because in that moment, what you need are the exact words that you can say to move that forward. Because I'm betting what happens for most of you is that you get to the point where it's time to say, okay, So how do we make this happen? And you go, I'm not going to ask them that. I'm just going to tell them I hope they have a good night. And if by chance you're someone who is saying, okay, so let's make this happen, let's do this, you get it for the Ginsu knives for $89.99. Well, then hopefully we've talked enough about that it's not the day and age of Ginsu knives, and that's not actually what people want. People want to know that they can spend more time with their family because it doesn't take as long to chop up a beer can or whatever Ginsu knives did. People want connection with you. People really buy based on who you are. About 50% of the equation is that. Only about 50% is actually what you're selling. And if you're in services, if you're a coach, then I'm going to say it's about 90% you and 10% exactly the structure that you're giving. So, the deal is, even if you have to step up to the plate and ask some people like, how do we make this happen? Or I am so looking forward to working with you, is that Visa or MasterCard? I mean, that's also a little bit, it depends. The thing is that piece of the conversation, unfortunately, I just can't teach this quickly because what it's based on is an entire relationship. So in the same way that how my husband asked me to marry him would not have worked for other people, but it was based on our relationship, that's actually how you close a sale. You do it so that it is coherent and congruent with the entire relationship you've had up to that point. And you also really want to keep an eye out for, it's like in poker, people have tells. You really want to be based in reality while you're moving towards a sale of, okay, so I'm a nutritionist and I know they're binging every night, but they don't return my phone calls. So, I mean, if you want to be somebody who goes out there and sells to the most difficult client in the world, if that's really appealing to you, that's great. It's not really what I think that sales is about, though. At the end of the day, when you go to sleep at night, I don't think it feels good that you forced somebody or pushed somebody or manipulated somebody to buy something. What actually feels good is that there are 5 million other people out there who are binging every night. And they do return phone calls, so you do see the signs that they're interested. And so you build that relationship so that it moves forward. And the great news about this, and I just can't state this enough, that it's like, I think a lot of times we go, I stink at sales, therefore I stink. That's not the case. You actually have all of the skills that you need in abundance. I mean, really, to sell. It's just about some tweaking. It's just about somebody showing you for the first time, like, how to be on the moon without gravity. Like, you would never know how to go to the bathroom in a rocket if they didn't show you. So, I don't know why I had to go there, but I just did. So, anyway, my apologies on that one. But you need someone to show you, and then there you go. So, you know, the phenomenal things that we're finding also is that when the economy changes, this skill set that you've learned here is the way to sell that really works. You can then go back to when we are on an economy high, creating great things with alliterations in the title and a cute logo and Shazam and Wowie, and 5 million people will buy from you. But these basic relational skills that show up with the symptom of someone handing you cash are skills that will not just work in this economy, but will make you a superstar in the economy that's coming next, which is coming. It's just the natural nature of things. So let me think if there's anything else that I can talk about that is super juicy. Let's talk about products and packages, because I think that's another place where a lot of people, it really doesn't work. So I think a lot of times it's sort of colored by numbers. People go, okay, I've seen this work for someone else, so I'm going to do the same thing. They made a lot of money, so I'm going to make that happen. So first off, what I would say is, unless they're making a lot of money at this moment, which most people are not going to be very transparent about. The benefit that I have being on the inside and doing some sales for entrepreneurs and hosting live events and seeing that sort of thing is that I actually get to see reality. I love reality. I hate it and I adore it. And so if you're basing your business model on seeing someone else and going, oh, that works for them, that should work for me, I want a piece of that pie, I'm going to guarantee that it's probably not working right now. People who did really well when everyone was just throwing loads of money around haven't updated their ways of doing business very quickly because it hasn't hurt them in the same way that some of the newer people or some of the first adopters have changed. So don't base your packages. Don't go, okay, well, somebody else sells this great thing of all this skincare stuff for the holidays. I'm going to do that too. First of all, it's not uniquely yours, and so it's not going to resonate with your client base, because there are people, I know, simply because you have a deep desire inside of you and a deep purpose inside of you, there are people out there who are wanting exactly you. Someone can be selling the identical thing sitting right beside you, and you are meant for them. So it needs to be uniquely yours. So don't base it on what someone else is doing. And then there's brilliance in terms of pricing when we look at a number of things, and just one basic thing. And these are some of the sorts of nuts and bolts that we'll get to. But in order for people to buy, generally people want to say no to something. So you want to offer a couple of different price points. So if your item is $20, on the same page on your website, you should offer something for $29. On a different page, you might want to offer something for $20 and also $9, because people psychologically want to feel like they've had a choice. It's that same kind of thing that in dating, when I read this book once, I don't even know if it's true. John Gray wrote this book, and I'll have to ask, I'm newly married, so you'll hear that seep through, but he's like, men, didn't they go through this part in the relationship where they go, I want to look around. I want to see if she's really the one. Maybe it'll be other things, and I hope, I have no idea if that happened in my relationship or not, but I do know that typically with clients, what they will want to do is go, wow, she has a $10,000 program. I'm so smart because I'm buying her $5,000 program. So in terms of pricing, you want to create things like that so that there's choice. And then the other thing that I think is really important, and just the easiest way for you to figure it out, is rather than going, okay, I'm going to do a coaching package that's exactly like somebody else is doing because they seem like they're cleaning up. Instead, what you want to do is you want to think about things like, are you someone who delivers more on a weekly basis than you would if you were sitting 8 hours with a person? Because you're also just going to be exhausted by the end of the 8 hours, and the results you're going to get from someone when you're halfway asleep at the end of your VIP day is going to be atrocious. So if it works better for you on a weekly basis, that's really what you're going to want to offer. So I am blown away by the fact that we are almost at the hour, and it's so funny. I'll just, again, be authentically me. It's almost painful for me to not deliver every piece of information I know about sales. But then the piece that becomes important too is that, am I congruent? So I give a lot. I give as much free content as I can. It is a joy. I had someone who emailed me this week and said that anytime I do one of these free shows, they look forward to it all week. How happy does that make me? Like, that's astoundingly beautiful. And I would also say, in my class on purpose earlier this week, I was saying, like, if you're having a hard time making money in your business, then oftentimes it's just about getting out there and being of service, even if there's not income that's related. As your business matures, though, you've got to be in balance. So the thing that I'm reminding myself is, yes, it would be lovely to give all of this away, and it also would be inappropriate. It's like a tree that would grow up from the ground and would completely bend and fall over to one side. It wouldn't make sense. So I'm going to give you one last really juicy tip that some of you may have heard before, but I will tell you that it's the smartest thing that we all hear about, and I find that people consistently don't do it. So here we go. Follow up. When you look at sales structures, one of the things you really want to think about is this. What's important is maintaining long-term relationships with your clients. People who are loyal to you now are going to buy from you now. They're going to sing your praises in social media where hundreds and thousands of people can see you. They are going to continue to buy from you as the economy gets higher. If you deal with them well, if you ask them for testimonials, if you send them handwritten notes, if you are consistently in contact, and if you invite them into this relationship-based selling that we're talking about. If you ask them, I spend time on the phone with people and I say, do you have any suggestions for me? Do you have any recommendations? For my brave clients, God bless Michael Drew, I said at a conference of his, go onto your Facebook page and ask people what they don't like about how you do your business. And even as it went out of my mouth, I thought, oh my goodness, will anyone here actually do that? And he did. Like, rock on. Because people are saying exactly how they feel about you to 20 people already. wouldn't you want to know? And I mean, I don't think I need to say don't pick the mean people. Like, that just would not be the appropriate thing to do anyway. But pick the people who've purchased from you. They know if your shipping time takes too long. They know if your marketing is not effective. And most often what will happen is they'll sit there and they'll say, you know, my sister really needs you. I never even thought about it. Think about things like starting an official referral program. Let people know that you want referred business. We don't think of it until someone says that sort of thing to us. There are a multitude of ways. If you conduct your relationships in sales and in business in the same way that you conduct your relationships in your lives, if you conduct your relationship in the same way that you conduct your relationship with the guy at the deli down the block, or your daughter's teacher at a PTA meeting, or the person who serves you coffee at Starbucks every day, don't you say to them, oh, you were out yesterday. I'm so glad that you look like you're feeling better. Were you sick? That's exactly how you want to conduct yourself in terms of sales. That's what's working now. The news could not be more brilliant. This is a wake-up call to goodness. This is not about how bad the economy is. And what I will tell you also is amazing is that you can be a first adopter here, because there are plenty of people who know their tire is flat and are looking under their hood to figure out what's wrong. Or they actually, a better analogy, I apologize because that was pretty bad. Let me just authentically get a tissue also. For those in my social media class, I get to blow my nose twice in a row with you all 2 days. But it's like looking under the hood and not knowing what's wrong. But it's almost like people it's not working for at the moment, their car is just going along grinding and making horrible noises, and they just aren't willing to pull off the road yet because they don't know what to do next. So this is your chance. This is your opportunity. This is your possibility to step up. If you're interested in working with me in bigger ways, I do sales management for companies. You can have me in there making your phone calls, doing all sorts of things. Feel free to email me at lindsay@socialmediaheaven.com, and I'm welcome to work with you in that way also. If you're interested in the class, you should do it. I've never said that ever about anything that I've sold to folks, and it's just the truth. Because without learning this, I don't know how not to tell the truth. If you don't know how to sell, you're not going to survive. It's just true. So, it has been my pleasure to be with you this evening. If you have any questions or comments, feel free. My lovely assistant Zach will throw up my Facebook and Twitter link. You can always find me there as well. And I think that's about it. So I'm so looking forward to the first 30 of you, and I will do anything. I'll call anybody. I'll find you new business. It is not hard. It's not hard to do. You just don't have the tools yet. Bring me your cavities. I need to think of a better analogy so that it's not so painful. Perhaps other people don't dislike dentistry as much as I do. Though I would say my dentist, what is his first name? I'll have to ask. But Dr. Kim in Glendale, if you're in California, rock star, best customer service ever. You should go there just for the experience to know how to run your business. Like, they are the happiest, get you in the chair, send you Starbucks cards. Like, what a brilliant way to do relationship selling. So anyway, that's it. It's been a pleasure. I will send the recording out as well, and I look forward to seeing you at www.socialmediaheaven.com and click on how to sell. As soon as the first 30 go, the price is going to bump up, but for $333, to change your future in your sales, you are going to make that money back so quickly, it's not even funny. First couple of weeks in the class, you'll be good. So do it. Okay, thank you all so much. Until next time, have a great night.